If temples in America are free and are community run, what is it about the Indian constitution and Indian version of secularism which demands that every Hindu institution and Hindu institution alone operate under the thumb of the government? Do you not trust the Hindu community in America to run its own institutions? Or is it your case that Hindus in America are less corrupt than Hindus in India? There has been no fundamental question that has been asked, which is, if the state has the right to slap everyone equally, why has it decided to slap one community exclusively? Right? That is the fundamental question. And the problem with that particular question is not the opposition that is coming from the government, but the opposition that is coming from within the community again. Because several members of the community believe that if this particular institution were to revert to the hands of the community, then it will lead to one, Brahmin domination, and two, it will lead to corruption. Therefore, what does it tell you? That vilification of the Brahmin is effectively leading to vilification of the community at large and to deprivation of control over your own institutions. Therefore, this soft target called Brahmin has effectively been used as the strawman argument to deprive you of your own assets, of your own community. If they went only after Brahmins, that would still be okay. Tell me this won't happen with the next community, the Kshatriya community or any other community next. You have to understand that whatever differences that we may have and whatever grievances that we may have is for us to address within. But that does not hand the state an excuse to take over our institution, because it is not an institution that belongs to the Brahmin, but it is an institution that belongs to the community. So even if one person or one group is being cited as an example or as a facade or a pretext to take over the community's institutions, it's surprising that the rest of the community is silent, because mentally they have said, while I may visit that particular place for spiritual and religious solace, this institution anyway belongs to that fellow who wears the sacred thread. Let him go and bear the brunt of the state. That is the hypocrisy in our heads. And that is the compartmentalization in our heads. We don't realize that whether we like it or not, that community is not, or let's say that identity is not limited to a particular race or a group or ethnicity. If an outsider has chosen to repeatedly attack one facet of your identity, he has identified two things. This seems to be that facet which, if it falls, will lead to a domino effect across the community. Because he has identified that this is that particular identity that needs to be attacked over and over again. Because this represents the voice of the person who stands up for dharma. I am not identifying a caste. I am identifying a social role. Please understand that. Therefore, if you go after this particular community, you've gone after that person who is supposed to be preaching dharma to the rest of the community. And with his fall, why is it that every evangelical organization does not tire from telling us that the first set of people to be converted in Kerala were the Nambudris? Why do they have to highlight this fact over and over and over again? Why do they have to highlight the fact that the first set of people to be converted to Christianity in Goa were the Konkani Brahmins? Why do they have to make this point? Why don't they start with the Dalits or the SCs or the Chaudhurys or the Naidus or the Kammas or the Kapus or any other community? Why don't they start with that? Why do they keep highlighting this fact? Because they expect a domino effect. They are going after the source of your knowledge. And along with it, every Indic traditional system, every Indic knowledge system is being appropriated. Every church which is now consecrated and established in Kerala starts with a proper Bhumi Puja, the consecration of a Dvajastambam. Why? Because they know the value of that particular ritual better than us. And they have decided to appropriate it and adopt it. Whereas we have decided to impute that particular ritual and associate it with one particular caste or community. Look at it. They are comfortable with it because they know there is a value in these rituals. It's just that they don't want this ritual to be performed under the heading of Hindu anymore. This is cultural misappropriation of the first order. That's how Rome became Christian Rome. Africa has lost all its land and received Christianity in return. And we are on the same path. There's no difference. The surprising part is, we have not been able to showcase one Holocaust like the Jews have. We have not been able to showcase proselytization like the Africans have. Everybody else has succeeded in showcasing themselves as victims except us. I am not asking you to develop a victim complex. I am not asking you to find justifications for inaction. Please strike a distinction. I am simply saying you should have the courage of your conviction to speak the truth about your past, not because you're seeking retribution or revenge. You're simply saying enough is enough and never again. That's it. That's all you're saying. For that to happen, kindly do not conflate political victory with civilizational victory. I'm not asking for civilizational victory, I'm asking for civilizational balance. I'm asking for an exercise in truth and reconciliation when it comes to civilization. As simple as that. Allow us to showcase what has happened with us and who are the perpetrators so that the next generation does not repeat the same mistakes. I've said this before, I'll say this again. You decided to show the mirror to the Brahmin community to ensure that future Brahmins do not repeat the same caste-based prejudice as far as the future is concerned, as far as the next generation is concerned. Why is this logic any different from any other community? One of the reasons that you undertake an exercise in historical analysis is to identify what are the lessons that we can learn from the past for the future. How is it that every other community is exempt from this kind of exercise except the Hindu community? How does it make sense? If I ask for freedom of Hindu religious institutions from the state, which community other than the Hindu community is going to be affected? Is that a communal request? Is that a communal wish? I am asking for my institution to be freed from the clutches of the state. Who are you to talk? You have no business in this. But you will see that the voices which oppose this will be funded by non-state actors and outside actors. And that situation will not change unless and until we find within us the guts to speak the truth. You can have individual surplus, but it will mean nothing when they come after you for being part of a certain community.